We're live from Los Angeles, California, Lipstick City, La La City, and we are here to talk about waiver wire baseball for fantasy baseball, Casey. I'm here with my co-host, Casey, live to the Bone Shinefold. He's here today, live from Pennsylvania. Yes, he's my East Coast. He's my East Coast homie. And we have, it's week 12 or is it 13?
I think it's 12.
Let's say it's week 12. It's close enough. I mean, every week I always mess up because I always count that week in Japan, but I'm not counting.
Yeah, it's confusing. But hey, it is the week of June 9th. So we're just going to look at it that way.
June 9th. Yep. Or June. Yep.
Today's June the 10th. Yesterday was the 9th. So.
Yep. There you go. So Casey, baseball, a lot of stuff going on. The Braves finally snapped their 7-game losing skid.
Yeah, and the Phillies snapped their losing skid too. So the NL East was in a bit of the Mets were in the driver's seat for the past week or so.
Yeah, I mean, the Phillies without Harper, they have no power. I feel their power, and Kyle Schwarber's.
Well, Schwarber's their power, yeah.
He's not hitting again, though. He's been on a drought.
Well, that's what happens with him. He started the season so hot, you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Although they have a man called Otto Kemp, the guy they called up. He's an older prospect, but 13 home runs, 12 steals in the minors, and a 3-hit night in his debut. So you can look, do I think he's a long-term solution anywhere? No, but he's going to get a lot of run there at third base for the Phillies, and you could do worse if you need a third baseman.
So Otto Kemp, is he on your waiver wire hit list?
Not on my hit list. He's on my watch list. That's for sure, though.
Let's talk about
it was fun to see, him get his 3 hits in his debut.
JC, big news in Boston. They brought up your guy that you've been running around the streets of Pennsylvania, screaming, yelling how great this guy is. Roman Anthony. They brought him up a couple days ago. He didn't get a hit his first game.
He made his debut last night. He didn't get a hit, and he made a really crucial error, but. Look, we know how good that guy is, so we're not worried about him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm putting him on my hit list just because of all the hype, and I fall into that sometimes. I get excited for this young talent, and maybe this guy's going to be the next big thing. Who knows? But I'm enjoying what Boston's doing. I mean, I think they're figuring out they can't win with the players they have, so let's bring up some of the young guys and let's see what they can do. I think it's a great move. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, Wilyer Abreu going on the IL certainly made the decision a lot simpler for them. From what I'm hearing and reading, it seems like he's up for good now, which is obviously good for the Red Sox. But I think it means Jarren Duran is probably on the trading block, which will be a good get for some team out there. They're not going to trade Ceddanne Rafaela, who's the best, maybe one of the best, if not the best defensive center fielder in baseball. And Wilyer Abreu is doing pretty well when he's healthy. So it looks like it is going to be Jarren Duran, who is trade bait for somebody.
Yeah, and
maybe they could get a first base. Who knows?
Yeah, and he's a guy that you and I both think potentially can be like a 30-30 guy. I mean,
I love him. I think he's got maybe not 30 home runs, but certainly 20 plus and 30 steals, 30, 40 steals. Good batter's eye. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind if the Yankees went out and got him, but I don't see a trade between the Red Sox and the Yankees taking place.
So let's talk waiver wire. I picked the cover this week. I picked that catcher from the White Sox. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, Teel. Look, he was probably the best catching prospect before the season. There's been some good catchers called up with Dalton Rushing and those guys, but this guy might get the most steady playing time, and he does have steals. I think he's stolen 7 bases in the minors this year, which means he's going to contribute in a category from a position where you rarely get any contribution at all, except if you had JT Realmuto from a few years ago. So he's certainly the top catching prospect. Although I like Alejandro Kirk there in Toronto too, if you want to retread. But he doesn't run and his power is not great, but he's a great batting average guy and is going to drive in runs. So
I like Kirk too. I like Toronto. Toronto's been winning. I mean, Toronto's been they've been slowly but surely looking like a good baseball team. They started out really poorly and now they're playing good ball. Contrary to Atlanta Braves, who like 8 games under 500 and just disappointing everybody, which I love. Casey, who else is on your waiver wire list? Who else were we
Well,
picking
speaking of, I mean, we just talked about Roman Anthony who was called up. I just read a few minutes ago that the Brewers are going to be calling up Jacob Misiorowski, the pitcher I talked about a few weeks ago. He of the 103-mile-an-hour fastball. They think he's going to be up on Thursday to make a
Yeah,
start.
he's pitching Thursday. That's the rumor.
Against
That's what
St. Louis. So he's certainly, to me, a top pitching ad if he's available out there just for the upside. This guy's got a 30 plus percent, I think 31 or 32% strikeout rate. So
he
you
throws
can't.
heat. I can't spell his last name, so don't ask me how to spell it.
I could probably sound it out. But the other guy who I love is one of your guys, Cincinnati Red. There's actually 2 Cincinnati Reds before I
hear that. Casey hates the Reds, and he has 2 guys he wants to pick up this week. Who are they?
Well, Christian Encarnacion Strand, the first baseman who came up last year with all the hype
in baseball history to be in back of a jersey, but keep going.
And struggled when he got his call up last year. Then he was hurt the start of this year. Well, the last 2 weeks, he's batting, or the last week, he's batting .471 with 3 home runs. He's got multiple hit games. I think every game over the weekend. This is a guy who was literally the best hitter in the minors last year, and you couldn't get him out. It felt like he was hitting home runs every other game. Maybe it just took him a while to get his feet settled there in the majors. And at first base, where a lot of people are trying to find players, this is somebody who is, to me, has as high of upside as anybody else. And the other one is now with Misiorowski being called up, maybe the best pitching prospect in the minors in Chase Burns. He is a flamethrower who is just dominating at the upper levels of the minor leagues. And he might be the next to get the call, if you ask me, because Hunter Green's on the IL. The Reds have been playing well lately, and now they're back up above 500 or right at 500. So they're in the wild card talk. If they're going to make a run for the wild card, I think they're going to give this guy a spot in the rotation. So he's somebody I would add it, especially if I had an NA spot on my roster, but even if I had room at the end of my roster to add somebody.
Yeah, I like it's Chase, right? I
Chase
like
Burns. Yep.
Chase Burns. Is it Burns? Burns?
Yep. Not like Corbin, not with the E on it. Just Burns.
Casey, I have Corbin Burns. Should I trade him to you for one of your hot pitchers?
For a ham sandwich, maybe. How much does that suck for the Diamondbacks? They have maybe the best offense in baseball, or one of the best offenses in baseball, and their pitching is just decimated. And Zach Gallen can't figure it out. Brandon Pfaadt has gotten shellacked. Merrill Kelly is still doing well, but Montgomery and Burns are both gone for God knows how long.
Montgomery, Burns, and one in the same back-to-back. And who is the character in The Simpsons? So we all love him.
One of the best characters, yeah.
Thank you. And you said his name not on purpose, just accidentally. Montgomery Burns.
If only there was a sideshow and a Bob.
I had to call you out on that. So, some more pitchers. You're talking about pitchers. I have some of my teams, and he's been doing really well lately. Is Ben Brown of the Cubs? He's 38% owned, and I feel every start he gets better and better. And the Cubs, as much as I hate to say it, I think they're the team to beat in the Central.
They're playing really well.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing good ball. Michael Soroka of the Nationals.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Soroka too. I'm a big fan of him.
Tell me about Soroka. Tell me why I should pick him
most
up.
People remember him from his pre-injury days for the Braves, where he and Max Fried were like the best young 1-2 coming up. And then he suffered multiple torn Achilles. He suffered a second one on his way back. He was never a high strikeout guy. He was a sinker contact guy, but it seems like the way he's been pitching recently for the Washington Nationals, he's developed this changeup that's been getting lefties out at a really good clip. And so he has a 2.98 ERA for the season, struck out 7 over 6 against the Rangers just in his last start. So, and he kills righties. Righties have nothing against him. So he's in my top 2 or 3 pitcher pickups as well.
Wow. Let me mention somebody else who had a great start. Had 12. This guy I'm going to mention had 12 strikeouts for the Atlanta Braves.
Yep.
Who is it?
Bryce Elder.
There you go, Bryce Elder, and he was up last year. I always thought he was a pretty good pitcher. I didn't, I just thought the Braves needed to find a space for him to pitch. But I mean, what's your thought on Bryce Elders? Is somebody you're picking up this week?
I like him. I'm going to watch him a little longer and make sure it's real. Because I don't know how sustainable it is based on his history. But you could do a lot worse. You can't ignore a 12 strikeout game. That's for sure. Yeah, especially against a team like the Giants, who don't strike out a tremendous amount.
Who else is on your hit list?
I'm going to bring up some more veterans. How about Jeff McNeil, the second base outfielder?
Like Jeff. I mean, he's not really. He's like in. I think he's available in like almost 70% of the leagues.
Yeah, I think he's 21% owned right now. Yeah. His batting average is only 245, but that's a bit of a disappointment. But he just hit his 5th home run in 35 games. He's still walking more than he strikes out, and he's been hitting the ball a lot harder lately. If his batting average comes up, which everybody expects it will, because he's a batting average guy, he's actually especially in that Mets lineup, he hits in a position where he's going to score a lot of runs and might even get a chance to knock in some RBIs. So that's somebody else I have on there. And the other guy is Parker Meadows. We talked about him before, so I'm not going to bring him up again. I'm going to bring up a post type sleeper. Joe Adell was a top 5 minor league fantasy prospect 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, and he just never figured it out. He cut his strikeout rate a little bit, which has always been a big problem for him. It's still not great. It's still at 23%, but his expected batting average is 280 now, which means his batting is better than that. The numbers are real. They're not, the underlying metrics don't suggest that he's a flash in the pan, and his power has been crazy lately, with 6 home runs, I think, in the last 2 weeks. And this guy has always had that Eloy Jimenez type of light tower power. So if he's putting it together, that's somebody who is still young enough that he can be a difference maker.
I agree with you. I feel that he can definitely. I'm very familiar with him. He plays for the Angels. I've seen him play many times. It's just every time they bring him up, he does great in the minors. I think it's Utah, Salt Lake City. I think is where the Angels are. I think, or the Reno. I can't remember. But whenever he plays in the minors, he's great, and then they bring him up, and he's horrible. I don't know what's wrong with him. But again, who knows? Casey, who else is on your hit list this week?
Those are the big names. I think Lance McCullers, if he's less than 60% owned, and I haven't checked, but I think he is.
He is less than. He's like in the 40s.
We know that this guy is capable, and he's now a few starts removed in his injury comeback. If he can stay healthy, that curveball, we know how devastating it is. He pitched really well his last time out. He's another guy I have on my list there. And then the last one I have is, I guess, Pierce Johnson. As people,
I just read that Iglesias,
Iglesias
is no longer the closer.
They pulled him from the closer spot in Atlanta. Yeah. They're giving Johnson a chance now. Johnson already blew 1 save, I believe, Saturday night, but he seems like the guy they're going to give a legitimate chance to. So if you're desperate, if you're an Iglesias owner and you're looking for who to handcuff him with, Johnson seems like the guy.
And Craig Kimball, they waved him along.
They DFA'd him, which was sad. There's kind of sadness in that, but
I mean, he was like the big time closer. Remember, like all that hype.
It was called a Kimbrel when it would be like a 9-pitch. The immaculate inning was kind of his thing, or 3 up, 3 down, all 3 strikeouts was kind of the way he did it. Yeah. He was as dominant as it got 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Okay, see anybody else on your hit list?
Those are the big names right now. I mean, you can try Ha-Sung Kim for the Rays is coming back. He can play some shortstop for you. I talked about Otto Kemp, who I just like his name too, a man called Otto. But those are the big ones. If you're desperate for pitching, I think Edward Cabrera is still worth a look. He's throwing his sinker more, which allows him to keep control a little better. But again, he's somebody whose whip is always going to hurt you. So I'm not.
And I still like. I'm a homie with the Reds, as you know. I still like Nick Martinez too.
Yeah, similar idea.
I think Nick Martinez still has a lot in the tank, and he's pitching really well this year. Even though his stats aren't really proving that well, but I watch a lot of him pitching, and he's good. If you're desperate for a pitcher, I picked him up because he had a start, and I needed some starts, so I picked him up in some leagues.
Yeah, he did well for you.
Yeah, there you go. But okay, well, so we'll see everybody on Thursday at 12:30, 9:30 my time, correct?
Correct.
I'm in the Pacific
We'll
Coast.
give you a few more names to consider going into the weekend.
Yeah, we'll make it short and sweet, like we try to do. And then at 4:00, 1:00 Pacific, we have the Dr. Dan Ratner Philosophy 101. Is that what we're calling it? Or philosophy?
We'll figure out a good name for it.
Philosophy.
We'll just talk about whatever in sports is interesting interesting to us at the time.
And this is not baseball related, but I'll bring it up anyway. I mean, if you're not watching the Stanley Cup, please watch it. It's really
good. The Panthers trounced them last night, didn't they?
They did, but I think Edmonton's going to win on Thursday. We'll see what happens. Okay, I'm Ross the Boss. That's Casey Blatchford, Scheinfeld, receiver, buddy.